Joining us now, ladies and gentlemen, out of Oregon, just became a Olympic gold medalist and a world record holder, breaking his own goddamn record. A guy who throws 16-pound rocks further than any human in the history of throwing 16-pound rocks, which I do believe began as soon as they found a rock that weighed 16 pounds. Yes. Has to be thousands and thousands of years, the greatest of all time. United States of America gold medal winner at the Olympics, the powerhouse, Ryan Crouser. Yeah! What's going on, man?
Not much. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Crouser, quick question. All right. You might be the most explosive human to ever walk Earth with the ability to throw that thing further than ever. The first time you broke your own record, you had a hat in your eyes. You couldn't even see anything. Did you ever play football? Was it always shot put? I know it's in the family. Shot putting's in the family. But was that the only thing you ever focused on, track and field? Because it looks like you could have done whatever the hell you wanted.
Yeah, so I played football growing up. I was actually a quarterback. I was tall and skinny, and definitely not built like a lineman when I was playing football. And so I played defensive back. I was free safety and cornerback on defense, and then QB on offense. And then after I really, around freshman year of high school, I quit playing football to focus on fall basketball. I was playing fall basketball, kind of in that fall ball. And basketball is really one of my main sports all through high school. I was pretty talented in basketball, conference player of the year as a junior, and then focused on track when I went to college at the University of Texas.
Got it, AJ.
What was the experience like when you got there to the Olympics? I guess not having really fans there, like, was there like any extra anxiety or nerves getting there? And did it feel like, okay, hey, this is it. This is the biggest stage in the world?
Yeah, so it definitely had a different feel at this Olympics than my past World Champs or Olympics. I'd say the biggest thing with this one is just it was very stressful, and the stress that's, for me, hard to deal with is stuff that I can't control, because that stuff you want to let go and not let it kind of weigh on you. But it was no one's fault. It's just the status of the world right now is with COVID, you just every morning you take a COVID test, and you would just pray your phone didn't go off that day. If it did, you're pulled out. If you get COVID, even if you're asymptomatic, even if you're vaccinated, you're out of the games, and you're locked in a hotel room for 7 days. And so that was like the stressful part. Every morning, COVID test, and then like any notification, like you didn't want to look at your phone at all. And for any athlete, that's the absolute worst thing. If you go out there and compete and have the worst day of your life at the Olympics, that sucks, but at least that's on you. Like, that was under your control. So the number one thing I wouldn't wish on any athlete is that text saying, hey, like, you're getting locked down. So that was the most stressful part of this Olympics. As far as fans not being there and the stands being empty, it's still the Olympics. If you can't get up for the Olympics, and even without fans, like, you might want to reevaluate what sport you're in.
Okay, so let's talk about the waking up and getting the dreaded COVID test every morning, and then potentially getting a text that says all of your hard work is all for naught. Actually, you're getting locked down in a hotel for 7 days all by yourself and then flown home. And everything you've just done for an extended year, 5 years now, is all for naught. In the shot putting world, and forgive me for not knowing enough about this, you said world championships and previous Olympics. Is there like a week-to-week league where you can dominate folks? How does it work? And is the Olympics just basically the pinnacle? That's the Super Bowl of everything you do.
Yeah, so Olympics is definitely like our Super Bowl. We have what we call majors. So you have usually every odd year is a world championship year, and then every 4 years is an Olympics. And so the major for this year was the Olympics. Next year's major is world championships. And then in between, we have what is the Diamond League. And so that's around the world. Before 2 or 8 competitions, depending on the year, depending on the event. So like this year, shot has 4. to qualify for the Diamond League final, and it's based on a points race. And so that's every year we have a Diamond League final, and you kind of fill it in with meets in between. So it might be some lower level pro meets, like Grand Prix style, or I've done a couple all-comer meets this year where I just threw at the University of Arkansas, both indoors and outdoors.
You beat everybody at all these things all the time.
I do my best.
The way the commentators were speaking, though, when you came up, they were like, ladies and gentlemen, this show is about to fucking start. Is that a lot of pressure? I assume it is. At all these events, you're the guy, especially now. You've broken your own record like 3 times. And I'm only saying this because it seems to happen in the Olympics and these types of sports. Phelps was like, every time he got in a race, he's got to win. Usain Bolt, we talked to him. Every time he's in a race, he has to win. Simone Biles, anytime she got into an event or did anything, the expectations were she's going to win. I think, and I don't know enough about you or shot putting, but you are in that same exact vein whenever it comes to shot putting if the commentators were speaking in the proper fashion. Do you know that? Does that propel you to work harder? Is there any thoughts about the whole, like, hey, I am kind of carrying shot put right now? That's how they were talking. Like, hey, this guy is setting the standard for shot putting. Do you think about that, or do you try to block all that shit out?
I mean, I try to block most of it out. The way I approach it is, I mean, anytime I'm going out to compete, I can control what I do and how well I do it. I can't control what the other guys throw. So my main focus is throw as far as I can. And so I feel like I actually have less stress on myself now than I did pre-world record, because before I knew I could throw the world record and I knew it was possible, but it was like, okay, I know I can do it. Now let's try to make it happen. And I would get a little bit tight. I think there was at least 6 different competitions where I was expecting to break the world record going into it, and it just didn't happen. Like, I set myself up really well. I'm in a good place to do it, and it just didn't quite let it happen. So now that I have the world record, it's like I'm just competing against myself, which is exactly where I want to be. I want to walk out there and throw a personal best and say, I'm the best I've ever been personally today. I'm better than I was yesterday, and hopefully tomorrow will be better than this. But that kind of takes the stress off, because I'm not worrying about the other guys will throw. If I go out there and throw the best I've ever done, I can't be disappointed with that. So I'm worrying about myself when I go out to compete, and I'd say the pressure is actually less now that I have the world record, because I'm not trying to chase anyone. I'm just trying to chase myself.
That's awesome. That's a great way to look at it. I hope you maintain that for the rest of your life. As you can see, I'm sure by watching and looking right now, me and AJ, let him know a little bit. Me and AJ.
I'm good.
AJ, could you please? Okay. By the way, I saw AJ in real life this weekend.
Huge. Yeah, NFL shape.
It is absolutely. What do you do? Just explosive exercises all the time? Or are you just hang cleaning and snatching all day? It looks like that is basically what the shot put is just who can be the most explosive human on earth. Is that what you wake up and try to do, or am I missing something? Because you are a monster who spins so gracefully, former quarterback. What is the workout plans, and is that every single day?
Yeah, so I lift 4 to 5 days a week and throw the same number. So I'm staggered. So like 3 days a week are double throw and lift, and then the other ones are standalone workouts. And I feel like for shot, there's kind of three sports that you kind of draw comparisons to. So you have to be dynamic and you have to be fast. And so in terms of that, we almost train like a really short sprinter, like just the block start portion of what a sprinter would do. Because we don't have to, it's quick, it's all reactive. And so you're not training like 100-meter sprint. You're just training pretty much to run the fastest 20-meter that you possibly can.
Got it.
So that's kind of the dynamic aspect. And then you definitely have the strength portion. So everyone out there has a big bench, a big squat, and solid Olympic lift. So that part of the training kind of resembles an offensive lineman. Everyone's over pretty much 300 pounds. Like if you're 300-0, you're on the small side right now. And so that's kind of like you took an offensive lineman, combine him with a sprinter, and then add in the rotational aspect, because we are rotational athletes. And so some of that, I work at the University of Arkansas as a volunteer coach and work with baseball a little bit. So a lot of my rotational training kind of resembles what a major league slugger would be from the baseball perspective. So you kind of combine those three, and you'll have a pretty good shot putter.
Ryan, I don't know you well enough. I hope to one day we can share belt buckles and cowboy hats. I hope so. One day we can. But has anybody ever told you now that you're this incredible freak dynamic athlete that if you're 300 pounds, you're on the small side? Hey, couldn't you right now? Now, I'm not saying anything. You're going to be the greatest shot putter of all time. You do you. Okay, but isn't right now a great time for Ryan Crouser to potentially go and then bang and then just get $200 million? Isn't that something? It feels like you have, and that's all I could really watch while you were throwing, because I didn't fully understand shot putting. I honestly, I've no idea how. Is it one of the original sports? Because the history in your family is massive, right? In this, is shot putting, or did I miscalculate that or hear that wrong?
Yeah, so my family definitely has a track and field background. Started with my grandpa. He threw javelin in the 50s when he was in the Army, and was a very competitive javelin thrower. And then my dad and my two uncles were also track and field athletes. So my dad was most specialized in discus. My uncle Dean was shot put, and my uncle Brian was javelin thrower, and he was actually an Olympian in '88 and '92.
Jeez.
And then 2016, my cousin Sam was my roommate in Rio in the Olympics. He was a javelin thrower.
Oh, so your family just throws shit. Like, hey, this is what we do. We just throw things better than ever. I'm not telling you, I love what you're doing for the shot put game, and you're changing it all, but every once in a while in those 4 to 5 day lifts you got, it feels like you are built to be a tackle that they pay a lot of money to. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Ryan, was there anyone in this Olympics that you got to meet that was someone you were looking forward to, that you actually wanted to meet?
So that's the tough thing about this Olympics, is that it was very limited on exposure and the way that as far as just intermingling and meeting new people. So it was really regimented, and there was some, not that the rules were super strict, but for me it was just like, I've got to limit my exposure to as little people as I can. And so it was like, I was in my room, I was at the venue training, and then it was grab food real quick and back to my room, just because I wanted to make sure I got to compete.
Did you sleep on that cardboard bed? Were you on a cardboard bed?
No, I was not. They actually brought in some bigger bed. It was like a twin size bed, so I was really appreciative of that. It had an actual bed frame, so that was nice, because I did. So after my roommate or my suite mate left, he had a cardboard bed, and he had the room with the best view. And so I was sitting there, and I was like, "Man, I'm gonna tie my shoes," and sat down on the edge of the cardboard bed, and it folded.
What a body shaming situation going on.
Yeah, can't have
you
it.
didn't deserve that, Crouser. Go ahead, Tone.
Right, so maybe not so much this Olympics, but the past Olympics. So track and fields, the second week, the later in the competition of the Olympics. Like, do you have to deal with like the swimmers and shit being done with their events and being loud and partying, or are they respectful in the Olympic village, in the community, while other athletes still haven't competed yet?
Yeah, so I mean, both Rio and especially this one, the village was pretty quiet. It definitely kind of, I feel like you hear about the village being this massive party scene, and I really haven't seen that at all. I mean, there was maybe a little bit in Rio and absolutely really none in Tokyo. But I mean, Rio, you had the perfect party down in like Copacabana. I know that most of the athletes kind of got out of the village because you're like an hour removed.
Yeah.
It built up these massive high rises outside of the city. And so a combination, out of respect to the athletes that are still competing, but mostly because you've got a massive party going down on Anna. That was the place to be. So I didn't really see so I didn't have any restrictions with that. So definitely was appreciative of that in Rio. But I don't blame them for leaving the village and going down to Copacabana to hang out.
Yeah. At the Copacabana, Lockie will go to the gas station. He's a different guy now.
Yeah,
True.
Different guy.
True.
He deserves to be treated as such. Last question for you, Crouser. Thank you so much for your time. Go ahead, Ty.
Ryan, you talked about how you're basically just competing against yourself now. Do you worry that like you don't have anything else to prove, or you're going to get tired of this, or are you going to throw a shot put until your arm falls off?
I'm going to keep doing it at least for a while. I mean, what I enjoy the most of it at this point is just trying to improve myself. And I know that I could still throw farther than what I have. And so that's
Really?
how I'm excited about it. Yeah, so like if looking at my throw in the Olympics, that was definitely a better throw than my world record at the Olympic trials. But it was, so I was thousands of miles away from home, walking 20,000 steps a day to get around the village, different food, different bed. And on the 2.5 hours of being at 105 degrees heat index to still throw within less than 3 inches from my lifetime best, I definitely know if I just take out some of those detrimental variables, my own bed, not walking a ton, just like pull up to the track and go, that throw itself would be an improvement on my world record.
All right, well, we can't wait to watch it. We appreciate you so much for your time. What I heard and what I learned from is you got to keep your hand on that thing as long as possible. You know, that's how you get all the power. Is that right?
Yeah, so you want to keep both feet on the ground as long as you can, because then you're applying force. And yeah, push on that ball as long as you possibly can. And you need a really strong hand. There's a lot of force that's going to moving a 16-pound ball 76 feet. So definitely need strong hands.
You bowl with a 16-pound ball?
If I can, I bowl with whatever I can fit my fingers bowls. Because hand definitely gets swollen.
You ever punch that punching thing that says how strong you punched?
I'm worried about breaking my hand on that. I'll wrap up my hand, throw on the heavy gloves, and hit the heavy bag a little bit for off-season conditioning. But I haven't done. I'm scared of the punching machine. I'm afraid of hitting that wrong with a ton of power. If I break my hand, that's how I earn a living. So, kind of keeping the main thing on that one.
Smart. Hey, I'm gonna send you a Oculus. Getting here to throw the fight. We can see how hard those bombs are. It's virtual reality fighting, Crouser. You'll love it, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Gold medalist, world record holder, absolute legend of a human. The cowboy hat was beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. Ryan Crouser. Thank you, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Congrats.
All right, thank you.
No, thank you. He's going to break a record again. This is Usain Bolt. We're watching it.
Yeah.
20,000 steps. He's walking on day of the finals.
Yeah,
what
what
type
the
of shit are we
hell?
running around here?
Come on.
He's sleeping on a twin bed? What is this?
Pretty massive, though. Big win for him getting a twin bed. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I guess it was a lot better than that cardboard bed. He would have just went right through.